What is up everybody, my name is Tyler Potts and welcome back to another video. In this video we'll be covering React hooks. We'll be doing it quite a fun style. We'll be creating this cool little app where you will encounter a wild Pokemon, Rapidash, and then you catch the Pokemon. And you'll keep catching Pokemon until you run out of Pokemon to catch. You can only catch one of each type, but you can encounter more than one of the same Pokemon. Again, this is just a very simple app so you can test and learn how to use React hooks. We're going to be using the basics. We're going to mainly be using useState and useEffect, and then maybe tomorrow or another video we're going to go over the other stuff like useContext and maybe useReducer and stuff like that. So for now, without further ado, let's crack on with the video. So the first thing you want to know is we're going to be using this Poke API. So if you want to use it too, you can happily come and use it. I'll try and put a link in the description of the video, but I may forget, so don't judge me if I don't. Just ask in the comments and I'll give you this link. For that, let's go back to let's put we'll shrink this down into like a mobile view. So it's responsive, as you can see there, it breaks down and it works very nicely. Let's stop this. Let's cd out of this. Let's cd into our, oh, that's not what I mean. Let's swap our directory into our 100 days of code. Cd into, where is it? 72. Yep, cd into day 72. And in here, you can now run npx create react app. And to run this, you need to have Node.js installed. So if you don't already have Node.js installed, you can just head over to nodejs.org and click the install the latest stable version or the recommended version, whichever one you prefer, or whichever one you want. Either one will work perfectly fine for npx. And it's super simple. Just install it and you just run that. So once you've done that, you can come back to your terminal and run npx create react app and then give it a name. So it's going to be called Pokedex. I'm going to hit enter and it's going to run, and I'll see you once this is done. Okay, everybody, welcome back. As you can see, it's now finished. We can cd into our Pokedex app and we can then run npm start. But before we do that, I'm going to run code dot open up this folder in my text editor. So let's now run npm start to start the application, and this is going to run everything so we don't have to worry. Let's bring this up there and bring this across like that. Stretch it out so we have maximum room to use the text editor. Let's also close that and let's open up the sidebar. Now this is going to reload once the app's actually loaded. There you go. So, and we're going to be shown with the default React app boilerplate. Now we don't want half this. So I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to delete a few files. I'm going to highlight multiple. I'm going to highlight app.css, app.js, app.test.js, and logo.sv and surface worker. Oh, but we're not going to delete index.js or index.css. I'm going to right click and click delete, and I'm going to go into index and I'm going to remove the references, so app, and oh, that was it. I'm going to remove that, and also don't forget the surface worker, and then I'm going to create a function called app, which is going to return a diff with the class name of app wrapper. Hit save and all our errors should be gone, but we will see nothing on page. So if we quickly just write in here hello world, you can see everything's working fine. Nice. Let's go into our index and we want to set up a few things. I want to remove this font family. I'm going to be using Roboto and sans serif. I'm going to go up here and add some resets. So we're going to add a reset for margin and padding, and then we're also going to set the box sizing to border box. There we go. Nice. And I don't need this code tag. Okay, now we've got all the stuff out of the way. Let's go back to our index.js. And the reason I'm working from the index.js file is for no reason. You can create components if you want and import your components. I feel like working from the index.js for this video, and then when we go on to use context, we're going to be working on the same application, but we're going to be creating different components so we can use something called and then we're going to inject those into here, but it's going to be using use context, which allows us to basically create like a few-x store if you come from the few background, or a Redux store sort of thing, so you can store your state and handle your state management across components. And that's why I'm not using components in this video, but I will be using everything to do with hooks. Now, a little background on hooks. React hooks are basically allow you to move away from class-based components and move over to function-based components and functional components. And that's why here we're using a function instead of saying class. So that is one reason to use React hooks. The next reason to use them is because they're super simple and you can create loads of cool things from just using React hooks. So without further ado, let's get started. So there's a few things we want to do. Up the top here where it says React, we want to import our hooks. And to import your hooks, you just basically put a comma after React and put in these curly braces to destructure or pull out from React's library. And we're going to pull out the useState, which is a hook, and the useEffect, which is a hook. Now, any hook you see will have this use statement in front, because it's kind of you're using something, you're using an effect, you're using the state. And that is why, I guess, where the naming structure came from. So once we've got those, we can go back into our function, the app, and we can set up a few things. Now, if you remember in class-based components, you could say this.state is equal to, and then set the state equal to whatever. But with function-based components, you basically set up slightly differently. So we're going to create a constant, and we're going to pass an array here, and we're going to say Pokedex and set Pokedex, if I can even type, and then we're going to set this equal to useState, and we're going to pass an array. So how this works is basically we've just said here we want two variables, two different things. We want a Pokedex and a set Pokedex. And we're pulling that from our useState, and our default value for our Pokedex is going to be this array. And here we're going to then set, so this second parameter here, or this second thing we've pulled out, it's called set Pokedex, which is like, if you remember how this works, so this.state is equal to, for example, we would say Pokedex, and then would set it to an array. That's how you would normally initialize this. And then if you wanted to update that, you would say this.setState, and you would then pass through your new state. You would say Pokedex with an updated array. But with this, basically, instead of doing this to update it, you would say set Pokedex, and then you would pass through the updated array here. You can also get back the current state of the array by doing a function which passes back a state, and then you've got the current state. But I'm not going to go over that in depth right now. We're going to go over it as we go through the video. So now, without slowing down or anything, we're going to go straight through with the next part. So what we want to do here, after we've said useState and we've set up the Pokedex, we then want to create another one called wild Pokemon, and set wild Pokemon, and we'll set this equal to useState, which is going to be a string. Why is it going to be a string? No, it's going to be an object, which we're going to pull back from our API. Now, you can no longer use component mount inside of a functional component. So now when we want to call our API, we're going to have to do it a different way. And that's where useEffect comes in. So in useEffect, we're basically going to say, we're going to basically call it like useEffect. And then we're going to pass back a callback inside of this. And then this is going to call every single time the state updates. But now we don't want it to call every single time the state updates. So we can pass back a dependencies on what it updates with. And as you can see here, I pass basically an array. It's the second parameter. And in this array, you can say, if this updates, then rerun this function. And what we want to say here, well, we could say is Pokedex. So every time we updated our Pokedex, so we set the Pokedex, this would rerun anything which is in here, like component did mount. So if any time the state was updated, it would rerun. But this is useEffect. Now, if we didn't put anything in here and we left it empty, this would run once as when the component was created, and that means we can use it that way. So it will only run once when it was created, and then we can continue on from there. Another way to do something is by leaving it blank, and it will run every single time any state is updated. But we're not going to go on to that right now. We're going to leave in these two braces, and basically we want to call one thing, and we'll create a function called encounter wild Pokemon, and we're going to call that function. Now we're going to create that called encounter wild Pokemon. We're going to set equal to an arrow function. In here we're going to say, well, we're going to import a package quickly. So if you open up your terminal down here and run npm Axios, because we want to install Axios. It's basically a HTTP request sort of API caller. It's what you use when you want to call your API or stuff. It's basically just fetch, if you know what fetch is, or Ajax call. So that's it. So once it's installed, we want to go underneath the import React DOM. We're going to say import Axios from Axios. And now inside our encounter wild Pokemon, we can say axios.get, and we're going to say https://pokeapi.co/API/version2 Pokemon, and then we're going to just put here 151. And this is basically what this part of this API is the Pokemon you want, which is 151, which in our case would be Mew. Then we want to say .then, but I'm going to break this onto a new line. I'm also going to break to get onto a new line. Just looks a bit cleaner that way. And basically we're going to get a response back, which is going to say set wild Pokemon, and we're going to say response.data. So let's just log this data quickly, and we're going to say response.data, and I'm going to show you basically what happens. So if we open up the terminal now, and you see here we've got obviously a course issue, which is typical of anything on the planet ever to happen to me. So axios.get, and then it's https://pokeapi.co/API/version1. What did I write? Version 1? I meant version 2. There we go. Now it's working. So as you can see here, we got the Pokemon back. So if we open this up, you'll see we've got a name here, which is Mew. So we can use all this data we get back from our API to display onto the page. And that's exactly what we're going to do. But we don't want to get Mew every single time. We want a random Pokemon. So I'm going to create a function called PokeID. And that's going to give us a random ID every single time we call this function. So we're going to say PokeID is equal to a arrow function, which is going to return a, so I have a piece of snippet here, which I'm just going to paste in, but basically this is getting a max and a min width, or this is going to get a random number between the max and the min. And as you can see here, the min is equal to 1 and the max is equal to 151. We're using seal, which returns the smallest integer greater than or equal to its numeric argument. I did just read that, but it's the best way of explaining it. And then floor, which basically gets the greatest integer less than or equal to its numeric argument. Again, so it's either going to get 151 or 1. And here we're basically going to return math.floor math.random times max minus min plus 1 plus min. So basically what this is saying is, what this is going to do, this actual function, is going to get us a random number between 1 and 151. And that's all you need to know, really. Oh, that was a mouthful. Okay, now that is done, let's set up our app here. So we're going to create a quick header. We're going to say header, and inside the header we're going to have a h1.title, which is going to say React hooks. We're then going to have a h 3.subtitle, which is going to say with Pokemon, and then I'm going to continue on. After that, I'm going to create a section with the dot random or wild Pokemon, and I'm going to write in here wild Pokemon dot name. Hit save. And as you can see, we got a Dodrio. So every time we refresh, we get a Bellsprout. We get a different Pokemon each time, a Graffler, and it's going to go on so forth. I'm going to remove this console log because it's not needed. But that's, as you can see, that's how that works. Now, in the random Pokemon one, we want a H2, which we're going to say Wild Encounter. And then, once we've done a wild encounter, we're going to say image, and it's going to have a source which is going to have this link. I'm also going to copy and paste this link because it's a very long link. Oh, it needs to be in quotes too. So this link here plus, and then we're going to say wild Pokemon.id. So basically what this does is it gets us back the Pokemon's image, which has the, well, reference into the Pokemon's ID, which is actually its Pokedex value. And then we also want to say plus.png, say return as PNG. So if we hit save, we got a tentacle. So there you go, that is now added. And I'm going to remove the, oh, it's not needed for this, but we are going to give it a class name equal to sprite, and then under that we're going to say h3, and in the h3 we're going to pass through wild Pokemon.name, which is going to pass back its the Pokemon's name. So if we hit save, as you can see, we get Charmander. And then under that we're going to have a button with the class name of catch button. Oh no, just btn please, and I'm going to say catch. Hit save. And there's our button. Good. Now let's set up the rest of the markup, which is going to be the actual Pokedex part. So we're going to say section dot Pokedex, and then we're going to have a H2, which says Pokedex. Nice. And sorry if this is boring. You can skip ahead if you want to, if you don't want to see the markup and you want to see the actual hook stuff. This is only going to take enough a minute. So we're going to say Pokedex list, and then in here, now remember we set up this Pokedex, so this is going to be like our array of Pokemon we've caught when we click catch. So what we're going to say here is we're going to map through these. So we're going to say Pokedex.map, and then we're going to return a Pokemon, and then we're going to use JSX to print out every single Pokemon which we have caught. So we'll say class name is equal to Pokemon with a key equal to Pokemon.id. There we go. Let's bring that back. Oh, go away. Bring that back, and then we're going to say so Pokemon, we then want to get its image, which we're going to put right here, and we're going to do the same thing as we did up here. So I'm going to copy this whole thing, I'm going to paste it right here, but instead of wild Pokemon.id, we're just going to say Pokemon.id. Also going to remove the alt tag for now, but we are going to give it a class name equal to, and it's going to be sprite again. Now, after that, we're going to have a H3 with the class name of Pokemon-name. Name. And as you can guess, in here, we're just going to say Pokemon.name. And then a button with the class of remove. And in here, we're going to say and times to get a little cross. Hit save, and now we should have the full markup of our page, which is all what we need. So that should be all the markup we actually need. I went through that really quickly, but this isn't a markup tutorial or a React tutorial, so all these little interpol string interpolation where I've got a value and I've used these to print it out. I'm not going to go over that because I believe you guys should already know that. If not, you should go check out my React for Beginners tutorial. So after we've encountered the wild Pokemon, we can then catch the Pokemon. And basically every time I click catch, it does nothing right now. So we need to create a new function, which is going to be called catch Pokemon. And we're going to set equal to Pokemon, which is going to say set Pokedex. So now we're going to use the React hook to set the Pokedex. And this time we're going to pass through the state because we don't want to lose the current state. If you was to just pass through the new Pokemon, it's going to completely erase your whole Pokedex state, and it's going to replace it with whatever you pass through. But we don't want to do that. We want to update our Pokedex. So now we're going to get the state. But now we need to check if the mon or the Pokemon exists. So we're going to say mon exists equal to const mon exists is equal to state.filter. So we're going to filter through the state, and we're going to say p is equal to Pokemon.id is equal to p.id. And if it is equal to it, then it's going to return that it has one. So we're actually going to put this inside of some parentheses, and then we're going to say dot length is less than 1. And if it's less than 1, that means no. If it's greater than 0, that means the Pokemon exists. Yes. So now we're going to say if mon.exists, we're going to say state, actually we're going to set, that's not how you spell length. And also we're going to say if it's equal to 0, because we want to check if it don't exist. So mon don't, oh, that's not going to work. Mon exists. No. We're going to actually, we're going to set if it's more than 1, then it exists. And we want to check if it doesn't exist. So we're going to say, and then inside that, we're going to say state is equal to, and then we're going to use the array, and we're going to pass through the current state, and we're also going to attach the Pokemon onto the end of this array, the new Pokemon, and then we're going to sort through these Pokemon because we want to sort them by where they come through in the Pokedex. We don't want them to display in a random order. So we're going to say sort, pass through a little function which is going to say A, B, and all this is going to do is say return A.id minus B.id, and that's going to return them in the correct order. So it'll go from smallest to biggest if we do it this way. And then after the if statement, we're just going to return the state, because what we do up here basically, so let's explain it. So we're going to set the state, we're passing through the current state, we're then checking the current state if it already has the ID of the current Pokemon, and then we're checking its length to make sure to check if it does using filter. We'll then, if it doesn't exist, we're then going to add the new Pokemon to the current state, and then we're going to sort the state from by the Pokemon IDs, the Pokedex ID, and then we're going to return the whole state back to set state, or set Pokedex, sorry. And that is all we need for that part, except from after set Pokedex, we want to say encounter wild Pokemon. We want to call this function up here because we want to get a new Pokemon. Hit save, and now let's go down to our catch button here and say on click, set this equal to an arrow function that says catch Pokemon, and we're going to pass through wild Pokemon as the parameter. So as we refresh, we get an oddish. If we click catch, you'll see we get an oddish down here. If we catch this file plume, hey, look at that, that's oddly in order kind of. Kabuto, Magnet, I don't even know what that said, Magneton, and all the rest. So Aerodactyl, Tangela, and now you can see they're getting added to our Pokedex. Let's remove this console log. So there you go, they're getting added to our Pokedex now, which is pretty much the full functionality of this, and we've pretty much covered all the stuff in state. But now I'm going to crack on and go and start styling it up and adding in all the remove feature to remove it. So if you want to see how to remove it, stick with us and we will get that done now. So I'm going to remove this sidebar because it's not needed right now, and we're going to go into index.css. Now, I've already set the defaults, but we're going to say app wrapper. We're going to set the width equal to 100%, the height equal to 100 vertical height, so it's the same height as the window, and then we're going to set the display equal to flex, because we want to flex the items. So we're going to say flex flow, not basis, flex flow is equal to column, and align items is equal to center. If we hit save, everything's going to center itself. We're then going to style up the header. Now the header is going to be also a display flex. It's going to justify its content to the center of itself. We're going to align items to the center. We're going to then flex flow column. No, not colo, column. No. There we go. We're going to set the width equal to 100%. Actually, do we align it? We might as well stretch, right? Yeah, that'll do. We could start. Oh, we'll use center. Oh, no, we'll use stretch. Yeah. So we don't need that width 100%. And then we'll set the height equal to 80 pixels. The background color equal to white. And then we're going to set box shadow to 006 pixels, RGBA 0000.2. There we go. So now we hit save, we've got this little header. Can't really notice it now, but we'll see it once we actually start styling the rest of the page. After that, we want to say .title, and I'm going to give it the color of 171717, a very dark grey. The font size of 32 pixels, text transform uppercase. So, sorry, I'm trying to get through this as fast as possible because this bit is very boring. I might even cut it out, but at the same time, some people might want to see how I styled up the application. We're going to hit line height 1. There we go, so the title is done. Let's copy this and do it for the subtitle. I accidentally deleted the thing there. We're going to say subtitle, and the font size will be equal to 28. The font weight will be equal to 300, and I think the rest is all good. There you go, that's looking pretty good. Let's add some padding around this as well. Let's add 10 pixels padding. There you go, nice. And we'll just make it 100 pixels. And we'll remove the 10 pixels padding. No, we'll keep 10 pixels padding, thank you. I don't know, there you go, that's good enough. Now, after the subtitle, or after we've done the header, that's the header done now, we're going to now go on to the wild Pokemon, and we're going to say, well, it's stretched, we don't need a width. We're going to say min height of 300 pixels. The background colours, we had it red, I think, so we're just going to keep it red. So we're going to call it Fire Brick, I like that colour. And padding of 15 pixels. There we go. So now we've separated the wild encounter section from the actual rest of the rest of the app. So wild Pokemon, and we want the H2 inside of that. I'm going to set the colour equal to a very, very light grey, the font size equal to 32 pixels, text transform uppercase, a font weight of 300, and a text center. Oh, text center. Oh, it's text align, isn't it? Center. There you go. Hit save, and there we go. Wild encounters now looks really nice. Let's do the sprite next, or yeah, the sprite. So we'll say wild Pokemon dot sprite. Is that what we called it? What did we call it? Yeah, it was sprite. And then in here, we'll just go display it as a block. We'll give it a width of 150 pixels and a margin of 0 pixels auto to center it. There we go, that's looking good. Now we want to say wild Pokemon H3, which is the name of the Pokemon. And we're going to give this pretty much the same values here again, so let's bring this in. The font size though, we're probably going to have 28 pixels. The font weight is going to be 700 pixels, and I think that's good. There we go, that's looking good, I like that. Let's go down to the wild Pokemon and the catch button. So we'll set this to a width of 200 pixels with a height of about 35 pixels, a display of block and a margin of 25 pixels. Auto. We've got semicolon. Save, and there we go, that's looking a lot better. We then want to set the background equal to FFCE00, a border of none, not margin, an outline of none, a colour of a very dark grey, and a font weight of 700. Oh, I'm sorry, this takes a long time to start stuff up, don't it? I really am going to speed this up, so you're probably going to see this at like 1.25 seconds. There we go. So the catch is all there and nice. Now, after that, we want to go .wild Pokemon, .catch button active, because we want an active, and we're just going to set the background equal to a slightly darker orange. Alright, now we want to set the Pokedex. So we want it to be styled, so we'll give this a flex of 1, padding of 15 pixels, we don't need a width, we need the display of flex, the flex flow of column, and the overflow of scroll. So that's looking pretty good. Under Pokedex, let's say Pokedex-list, and we're going to set the display grid. We're going to say, I'm actually going to give this one, oh god, a width of 100%, so we're going to say width 100%, grid template columns, and we're going to set this to repeat. And this is a really cool, neat trick for CSS Grid. So we're going to say autofill, then we're going to say the minimum it can, or the min max. So the minimum it can be is 150 pixels, but the maximum can be one fraction. And then we're going to say the grid gap is equal to 15 pixels. Hit save, and we can't see it, but if we catch them, as you'll see, they'll be spread out 2 apart, as you can see. I then want to go in, say, Pokedex list dot Pokemon. Oh, that's Pokedex again, Pokemon. And this time I want to say position relative, because we're going to not relatively position the cross button. We're going to set it as absolute. We're going to display this as flex, and then the flex flow of column, the min height of 150 pixels, padding of 15 pixels, and the background equal to a very light grey. There you go. So that's looking good other than the stretchiness of it. So let's fix that by saying Pokedex list dot Pokemon. That's again not Pokemon. Dot sprite, and we're going to set the width equal to 100%. There you go. Now that fixes it. It's looking good. Now, finally, for the styling, we just want to style up the Pokedex list dot Pokemon dot remove button. So we'll say position absolute, top 0, right 0, border none, outline none, width 35 pixels, height 35 pixels, line height 25 pixels. Wait, 25? No, that should be 35. What am I doing? Background equal to firebrick, because I like that colour. The colour of the actual text should be a very light grey. The font size 28 pixels, and the cursor is equal to pointer. Let's hit save, and there we go. Now we have this remove button. So we pretty much have the functionality down. Let's stretch this out so you can see what we've got so far. So now we can catch a bunch of Pokemon and basically get it from an API using useEffect and useState. The final thing we'll do is remove each one of these. So let's go up to index or in index, and let's create a function called const release Pokemon, and we're going to give it, we're going to pass through an ID, and we're basically going to say set Pokedex, and we're going to pass through the state. And all we're going to do with this state is say state.filter, and we're going to say p, and then PID is not equal to ID. So return anything that isn't equal to the ID we're passing through to release the Pokemon. Hit save, go down to the map where we map the Pokedex, and on the remove button add an on click, and we're going to say, we're going to pass through an arrow function, and we're going to say release Pokemon, and we're going to say Pokemon.id. Hit save, and let's catch a few Pokemon. Let's catch a Dugong, Machoke, all this. And now if I remove, let's say Nidorina disappears. Let's say Dragonair disappears. Rattata and Dugong and Machoke, and there you go. All the Pokemon are now gone. Let's catch ourselves Dragonair again. And we'll catch loads of Pokemon now. Can we catch them all? It's so random, we probably won't even get there. But I mean, there we go. We've got quite a few decent Pokemon. I apologise for how long it took. Let's remove loads of them. We don't want all these. We just need the one Pokemon. You'll know what that's going to be, right? And my boy, Psyduck. Right, and there we go. Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video on React hooks. It was kind of more of a fun video where I wanted to mess around with creating this Pokemon API, using the Pokemon API with getting our own Pokemon and stuff. Maybe we could turn this into a proper game where you can catch and you have a chance of them running away, and then you've got to catch more, and then once you catch them all, it says you've caught them all, and then you go on to, let's say, Gen 2 Pokemon, etc. So that would be really cool. Maybe if someone creates that and sends me a link, that would be awesome. I'd love to see it. But anyway, for now, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. If you want to see more, then hit that subscribe button. And if you want to be the first on the scene, don't forget to hit that bell notification to be notified as soon as I post a new video. Other than that, guys, if you haven't already, go check out my Twitter. It's at Tyler_pot_. It's always in the description of the video, and you can see basically I keep everything I'm doing updated on there, so you know if I'm missing a video, if I'm going to upload a video, etc. And we also have a Discord channel, so don't forget to come join us on our Discord server. It's links in the description. And finally, I want to thank all my Patreons for being awesome. Your support is absolutely amazing, and I'm going to use the money we get from the Patreon to upgrade everything in here. So someone mentioned that you can hear the hard walls I have in my room when I talk, which makes it quite hard to hear me. So I'm going to get some foam padding and stuff to get that all sorted once we raise enough money. So anyone who wants to support that can hop over to the Patreon page. It's in the description. And I guess that's it, guys. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video, and peace out.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back.